stock market's opened just a few minutes ago, and it's not pretty.
I think the stock market is looking at DeepSeek and they're saying, oh my gosh, here is a company who has found a way to make pretty high quality AI much more widely available for much cheaper.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win, because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me that.
In spite of all of the criticisms against like socialism and whatnot, the irony is capitalism is endlessly inefficient because it requires the creation of infinite middlemen that are there specifically to create an additional profit structure. Like, it is far more inefficient. And you can do the same thing by making fake jobs created by the government, right? And that's precisely what socialist governments do, because at the end of the day, you can, I guess, in theory, you can think about all jobs as like, especially in this day and age, like a lot of the jobs that we create in the Western world or in China, they're just fake. You know, you're just kind of holding space. There's a lot of bullshit jobs out there, and it's important to maintain that. It's important to have something for people to do. It feels like creating that with a larger goal in mind is simply better than doing that doing that in a way where you're just creating middlemen that are simply tasked with creating more profits.
Really questioning sort of the foundation here of the AI boom, which is that it requires a lot of spending, which is that the US is running away with the AI arms race. And it's also questioning some of the big positives that have pushed markets to record highs.
A lot of people put a lot of money into AI, and now they're wondering if that money is needed the way that some of these American companies have said it is.
Exactly.
We just don't know if the claims being made by these Chinese companies.
Yeah, this is moving so fast. It's stunning.
All right, we're going to stay on top of this. As we said, big drops, especially in the NASDAQ. Speaking
a lot more about DeepSeek, it's one of these big stocks that has really changed the game, it seems, in just a couple of days. Without warning, a big unknown Chinese firm rattling the US market. Shelley Palmer is CEO of the Palmer Group and a professor of advanced media. He joins me now from New York. Shelley, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
It seems like there's a bit of a coup happening in the AI space. Tell me about DeepSeek, what you know about it. I mean, it's a startup. It's a 1-year-old company. A lot of people are downloading it. And the question is it taking on the big guys in the United States?
So DeepSeek.
What are you doing, IRL? Not complaining, just curious. Right now it's 7 in 3 hours.
Is a company out of China. It is a startup, as you said. It's about a year old. They have a model called DeepSeek V3, and in the last little bit, they released R1, which is a reasoning engine, and it's open source on an MIT license. You can download it. The magic here is that instead of taking months to train and hundreds of millions of dollars, it took under 2 months to train and cost according to the company, under $6 million to train. When you download it, you can post-train it, and pre-trained transformer models need to be post-trained in order to be valuable. And the compute cost is a fraction. We're talking a few percentage.
As an AI researcher, I'm highly doubting the narrative. They're using the same models. Everyone had tested the agents, and they're stupid as bro. That's the other part of this process, is that I think, look, I don't think that like DeepSeek is particularly brilliant and much, DeepSeek is like insane. It's super brilliant. It's so much better than ChatGPT or anything like that. I think that the significant part about this is that it's, one, open source, and two, done much cheaper and much more efficiently, which basically exposes the fraudulent nature of like the Western AI conversations. That's it. That's literally it. It exposes it for the bubble that it is. I'm not sitting here and saying like it's the greatest invention, like China done did it again or anything like that. I'm just simply saying that like it quite literally exposes the way that those seeking out profits down the line in the tech sector have invested themselves into yet another bubble. They just move on from bubble to bubble. They move on from hype to hype. And this was the latest iteration of that. And the Chinese model coming out and showcasing that like they can do it for much cheaper and in a shorter period of time, and also release it for free, open source to the entire world. you know, kind of exposes all of that. It's not, I'm not saying that it's, bro, the algorithm is brilliant. Don't know what the you're talking about. You can have a brilliant algorithm, like ChatGPT technically is also quote unquote brilliant. My point is it autonomous? Is it like truly an autonomous thing that you can substitute for real labor? Can you use it to write scripts, medical scripts for patients? No, you can't. It's a cool piece of technology, and inevitably, I think it will go there. It will become a incredibly valuable tool, but I still think it's in its infancy stage. Remember the metaverse and the Apple VR? Yeah, exactly. I mean, those were like obvious duds that fell apart very quickly.
Points fraction of what it costs to use the large language models from the big hyperscalers and foundational model builders like OpenAI or Anthropic or any of the.
Have you seen how Project 2025 Heritage Foundation names are hidden in the metadata on authors on official government documents going out from the OPM? I'm not surprised by that even a little bit.
Large foundational model builders. So this cost savings, along with the basically lightweight of the model, meaning you can download it and run it on a laptop, has sent kind of shivers through the spines, because what this really means is there's a possible future where algorithmic efficiency beats brute force computation. And the entire AI industry in the United States and around the world has been thinking about high-level computation and big data centers and a lot of energy use and chips. And now they're thinking, maybe not.
So it's a really good one to look at in terms of the numbers, because you're saying, and DeepSeek saying, that they spent just $5.6 million on this new AI model. Meta last week said it would spend upward of $65 billion. How come DeepSeek was able to crack this code and do it so much more efficiently, and the big guys in the US unable to do so?
First of all, it's hard to speculate, but let's just say the following. There is a cliche that I believe is a cliche for a reason. There are more honors students in China than there are students in the United States. You're talking about a very deep pool of very smart people. That's thing one. Two, they've been restricted from getting all of the tools they need from the West, including specifically the kind of chips that would do the computation they need to do the advanced computation. This is a mathematical solution to a hardware problem. It's called algorithmic efficiency. They've actually written code that's more efficient than the code that's being used generally in the space throughout the world. So how did they do it? It's open source. You can see their research. They've been very good and transparent about publishing their research. They haven't exactly shown the secret sauce, but it is something that we'll be able to replicate. And by the way, the markets are reacting in a knee-jerk, and most people don't understand any of what I'm about to say to you. No one in the United States, no American, no company anywhere on earth, to be fair, is going to lay down and die because a couple of engineers figured out a better algorithm. Math is math, and engineering is engineering, and these algorithmic efficiency.
He's saying basically the Chinese are smarter. No, I mean, he's not saying the Chinese are smarter. He's just saying the truth, that there is unlimited potential in China, and unlike the unlimited potential that exists everywhere, whether it be the African continent or whether it be the Asian continent, China has been able to develop enough that they can take advantage of said unlimited potential. This is the thing that I always advocate for. This is why I advocate to improve material conditions across the board evenly in the United States of America, engage in even development. That's it. It's not, there's no secret recipe here. There's no secret sauce here. Everyone has the capacity. You have no idea what kind of hidden talents are just being cast aside because of their birthplace, okay? He's also stating that because it's so large, because China is a massive country, that there is a likelihood that there are going to be brilliant, innovative engineers there. He's also saying that the hardships that America imposed on Chinese development, because they want to stunt Chinese development, they want to stunt Chinese growth, have caused them to work more efficiently. And those hurdles have basically created the problems that America created for China in an effort to stunt their growth has led them to innovate in this regard.
Approaches will be figured out worldwide. Now, what does that mean for NVIDIA's chip prices? What does that mean for nuclear power plants, for data centers? What does that mean for future data centers? The jury's still out. By the way, no one's replicated this. For all we know, this is the Sputnik moment, or this is the cyber Pearl Harbor where they faked this whole thing and it really wasn't done for $5.5 million in 2 months. We don't know. My guess is it was done for $6 million, and was done in 2 months. That's my guess. And we're all going to have to rise to the challenge. And by the way, I am confident that everybody will.
Yeah, this is the thing. We were talking about the race, the AI race, and I think this is pretty much indicative of the race that has truly just begun. As you say, yes. You can crack this code. If it's a mathematical solution, then you've got people that could work on it. But you touched on something in terms of the hardware and the GPUs and NVIDIA and so forth, and even what it means for electricity consumption for data centers. If what we're hearing from DeepSeek is in fact all factual, what does it actually mean? Does this change the calculation completely for AI?
So at the moment, it is much less expensive to run DeepSeek R1 locally than it is to, or even in the cloud, than it is to run any of the other models. So the question is not, is this better or worse? The question is, going forward, is algorithmic efficiency, this ability to run smaller models more efficiently, going to be a better path forward than the brute force massive compute models that we've used so far at OpenAI and Anthropic and at Google Gemini and at Llama, for Meta's Llama? We don't know the answer to that. Right now, it points towards two futures. One future is algorithmic efficiency. The other is brute force compute. There's no one in the world who can answer this question right now. It's all speculation. Time will tell. And as you've just said, it's very early days. This is like the beginning of the race. We're nowhere near the end of this race. We've never seen anything come this quickly. We've never seen exponential improvement that has really hit us at this speed. So it's accelerating, and we're going to all learn together. That's just the way it's going to go, and the markets are going to follow along because markets do that.
Last week, Chinese company DeepSeek shocked the world when they walked right over OpenAI's moat by releasing the open source R1 model. Not only does it beat their $200 O1 reasoning model, but it also beats Claude Sonnet and Gemini. It wins on key benchmarks, but more importantly, it passes my vibe test, along with many others on the internet, as long as you don't ask it what happened on April 15th, 1989. R1 even wins at math, which is crazy considering OpenAI had the answers in advance. Over the last few days, normies have been learning about R1, and it went viral to become the #1 app in America. This is a big problem for big tech, because in order for the grift to keep on grifting...
This is so funny. Dude, I cannot begin to explain the soft power capabilities of creating a competitive commodity. We are creating a generation of loyal servants of the People's Republic of China. And normally conservatives would say this is a negative. I don't care necessarily, as long as it makes people less antagonistic to foreign nations that the American government wants you to hate and consider adversaries. But it is like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that like the Western world is so desperate for any kind of technological innovation. Like they're just excited. They don't give a shit, and people shouldn't. It makes sense. Why should you care who makes the product? This coincidentally is why Chinese EVs aren't sold in the U.S. Yeah. When is the U.S. government going to ban DeepSeek because it's actually a Chinese propaganda app and they're going to force it to be sold to Elon Musk? Yeah, the fact that this is open source is exactly why this is going to be disruptive. Exploring this technology could be a benefit to humanity. As a security professional, the fact that it's open source makes me hopeful it will overturn monopolies in the space. I think that's why they released it as open source for a multitude of different reasons. I suspect like part of it is because they wanted to disrupt, the Western monopolies that were going to be implemented in this sphere. Because these guys, what do capitals always do? Enclosures. What do they always do? Enclosures. Whether it be enclosures upon the land and the process of landlordship, I guess, lordship over the land, or whether it be digital enclosures. Because enclosures are how you generate profits. The enclosures, the fences that you create around things, whether it's a tangible thing that you can see and consume and touch, or whether it be something like data and intellectual property, which is another form of safeguarding and gatekeeping, and another form of enclosure. It's always done at the behest of profit, okay? You are creating artificial scarcity in an effort to be the gatekeepers in an effort to say, we are the only people that have this. And when you generate a product, which I love open source, as you guys know, something that I talk about quite frequently. I don't use Linux because it's too complicated, but OBS, I use OBS. It is so important. If OBS didn't exist, there would be so much less live streaming in general. Maybe some of you will say, oh, it's great. It should be great. But it's open source. It's open source software. It's incredibly important. And all these other companies literally use it. I guess I do use Linux because I have a Steam Deck and I love my Steam Deck. But my point is, especially in the Twitch sphere, we use a lot of open source software. Like collaboration through open source is how you make better art, how you make better products, how you make better things in general. I love it. I think it's amazing. You know who hates it though? These douchebags on screen. They hate that shit. They ironically donate to OBS, okay? Because they use it. Because they later down the line will add additional things on top of OBS and then basically create their own version of the same product with extra services placed on top of it, where they actually end up, charging you money for it. But they rely on open source for innovation, especially for AI's infancy. I think open source is really important because this entire model relies on unlimited amounts of data. So the more data you put into it, the better you can train it, right? As long as you have proper safeguards, I guess, on like what kind of data and proper safeguards on the interpretation of the data. So that's it. There's not a market on earth not ran by open source. Important doesn't scratch the surface. Yeah, it's not important. It's vital. It's a necessity. So I think it's good for the future of AI in general, but it's also good because this being an open source product is good for the future of AI in general because it offers additional training capabilities. It's good also because this is very, very disruptive to the tech monopolist. It ruins Trump's entire agenda around tech. Like literally overnight, they were able to just say, yeah, nope. Oh, you're going to donate, you're going to do $500 billion. You're going to give $500 billion to these charlatans? Here, we did it for way less. There you go. And now everyone can have it for free.
Artificial intelligence needs to be hard and take thousands of GPUs to pull off, but DeepSeek R1 cost less than $10 million and was actually the side project of a hedge fund where their only goal is to create long-term social value. Wall Street is terrified and Nvidia stock is in for a bloodbath today. Nvidia has been the primary beneficiary of the AI boom, but the whole bubble just got one-shotted by a brutal reality check. You see, Nvidia's had basically a monopoly on AI training for the last decade because they have better Linux drivers than AMD, and all the machine learning algorithms are optimized for libraries like CUDA, which is
this video is from Fireship. They make banger videos. Highly recommend it.
Proprietary and can only run on NVIDIA GPUs. And they have the infrastructure to connect all these GPUs together at scale. As AI models get bigger and more popular, so do the profits of NVIDIA. But someone got DeepSeek running on a few Apple M2 Ultras. And that's the 680 billion parameter top of the line model. And that's terrifying if you're a tech investor pouring billions of dollars into AI. Because if the best state-of-the-art model can operate on relatively cheap consumer hardware, and it's free and open source and developed in China, how are we going to make any mother effing money? People are calling this the Sputnik moment when Russia launched.
Yeah, here's the thing. This should be your primary takeaway, chat. If nothing else, this should be your primary takeaway from this story, which is that a massive technological leap in terms of efficiency for an existing product in the West is considered devastating. Why is it considered devastating? Because it's one, produced in a cheaper fashion, and also released for free. This is an inherent contradiction under capitalism, and recognizing this should be a radicalizing moment for a lot of people. Like, what? Imagine the invention of the wheel, okay? And then immediately people going, oh, we got to monetize this, okay? And then there's a newer version of it and people go, oh no, like this is devastating. This is really going to cook our patent on the OG version of the stone wheel, you know? It's messed up. This is really going to stifle. This new innovative product is really going to stifle our market dominance. Like, what are you talking about, man? The f do you mean? For the average person just goes, hey, man, put the new generative AI model in the bag, bro, and they move on. For the average person, they're like, oh, that's a new, cooler product. I love that. Sorry, not as vested in your profits, you know? I'm not so interested in how many billions of dollars in profit you were going to generate out of this digital enclosure you're going to place upon this. I'm going to do the free thing that is competitive. You know, put the semiconductors in the bag. Put the new generative AI model in the bag. Shut the fuck up. Hey, how about you learn to code, Sam Altman? Get a job. Get a job, Sam.
First artificial satellite into space in 1957. The United States was shocked at the time, and it took over a decade to make a comeback when America made its pinnacle achievement of filming a man on the moon in Nevada. That's a joke.
Anyway, all jokes aside, I do still maintain the same position. I still maintain the position that like AI in general, at least at this stage, is just like a mechanism of labor displacement, and that a competent government should create safeguards against that sort of thing, to ensure that the new wave of technological efficiency that will create productivity for the existing labor force, companies should not use this as an opportunity to displace its labor force. Of course, we do not live in a competent government. We do not live under the rulership of a competent government. For reference, my 4070 Ti 16 gig VRAM barely pulls 200 watts when using DeepSeek R1, and it only utilizes 10 gigs of VRAM. There's literally no point on buying the new RTX 5090 unless gaming. RTX 5070 549 will come with 12 gigs of VRAM.
Of course, and even the smartest technology in the world, DeepSeek, believes in the moon landings. We had a good run on this AI hype train, but now it's time to move on. I'm looking forward to brain chips, quantum computers, artificial meat printers, nano robots, digital resurrection, and all kinds of other tech that will make the world a better place. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
The AI boom had been dominated by Silicon Valley's tech titans.
With the launch of GPT-4, still the most capable model out in the world.
But is this still the case?
Oops. You know, sometimes you just put this incredible seminar on, and in a short period of time, all of a sudden, your world comes crumbling down. It's just, life comes at you fast. You never know. Don't it always seem to go, and you don't know what you got till it's gone. That's all I'm saying.
Hegemony on AI now appears to be over, now that China has released its own powerful model, built at a fraction of the price, causing horror on the market.
You're seeing markets being absolutely eviscerated on news from a company most people have never even heard of. It's not deep fake, it's deep.
What's with the story that you posted with North Korea? Are we cooked? What story that I posted with North Korea?
Seek.
Let's talk about DeepSeek, because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core.
The man behind DeepSeek met the Chinese premier last week. Liang Wenfen is a hedge fund boss who built DeepSeek as a side hustle. Whilst US tech billionaires committed trillions to AI, DeepSeek cost just $5 million. And this is how. These chips made by NVIDIA power large language models like ChatGPT. One can cost up to $40,000, and a single model may use hundreds of thousands. These chips were so important that President Biden banned their export to China.
The future of the chip industry is going to be made in America.
Yet DeepSeek found a way to build their software using far cheaper chips.
Without the CHIPS Act that prevented China from having the cutting-edge chips, we probably wouldn't see DeepSeek today. We've got caught up in this notion that basically cash is king and that brute force matters. And so in a lot of the debates around AI, it's been...
I disagree with this. I think that, yes, these hurdles forced the hand of China to like look for alternatives that are cheaper and more efficient. But that simply, to me, means that if unburdened and unrestricted by by the American State Department, we could probably see even more bountiful innovations in the sector of tech, which of course is beneficial for mankind in the long run, and not just for AI, by the way, which is like probably one of the, at least in this stage and in the short term, will most likely have some negative consequences. But overall, this to me shows that any kind of restriction applied in this regard for, at the behest of American capital is unironically stunting innovation for the entirety of mankind. But Hasan, techno companies are whomst no open source discourse better. They know how this works. I don't think technos are scared, just the ignorant investors. What? Listen, I am not the most knowledgeable in the VC funded Silicon Valley tech sphere. All I'm going to say is this. I think most people that have worked on AI that don't have like competitive products to ChatGPT or are like trying to sell you something, most people that have worked in AI will say that the level of development, at least what I've heard from people who worked on AI, is that it is nowhere near the level of competence that people who have something to sell you claim it's at. Like, I don't think the people in the tech. I think the people in the tech sector want to farm as much funds out of investors as possible in the interim before the bubble bursts, and this accelerated that bubble bursting. So it's not just like scared investors. It's not scared money. It's more so that these guys made it seem like only they had the keys to the castle, and that the castle in and of itself is very scary, and they are the only responsible. They are the only responsible people. And they need like $700 gorillion in order to maintain it and in order to develop it, and that it's one day going to dominate the planet and control everything and all aspects of our lives, and it must be in the hands of responsible rulership. I mean, here's another example of this. Sam Altman telling us exactly what I've been saying here.
Sam, can you just going to startups? I mean, as you know, we've got a very vibrant startup ecosystem in India. Specifically focused on AI, are there spaces where you see, let's say, a startup from India building, you can build on the models, be it ChatGPT and many others. But if you want to build foundational models, how should we think about that? Where is it that a team from India, 3 super smart engineers with, not 100 million, but let's say 10 million, could actually build something truly substantial?
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to try anyway. And I believe both of those things. I think it is pretty hopeless, but
yeah, it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models, and you shouldn't try. He said you should still try. He said I think it's pretty hopeless. Like I think your takeaway. Your takeaway from that is supposed to be it's a foolish endeavor. This is the other thing that I wanted to show you. Oh, not this. We're rewriting the social contract. Like, I think a lot of people take advantage of the stupidity of the layman, myself included. I'm a stupid guy. I don't fully understand this stuff. I am maybe a little bit more of a Luddite and a little bit more of a skeptic than the average person, but They utilize the lack of technological prowess that the average person has to basically engage in myth making around this product that they are creating, right? I want to see that video where he's talking about like undermining the social contract or rewriting it or whatever. Where is it? Here it is.
Still,
like, this is a crazy take.
Expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not a next year or the year after that kind of thing. But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do.
The big market reaction today is NVIDIA stock tanking. This DeepSeek stuff has no bearing on the quality of NVIDIA hardware. This is a huge blow to OpenAI and other similar US AI products. The first thing that people in the US should be doing is trying to run with this AI model of NVIDIA's latest and greatest. The rest of your analysis is correct, in my opinion. The US tech industry has been overpromising and under-delivering. Yeah. No, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that, like, they were able to do this. They were able to maintain this presence for as long as they could and engage in myth making surrounding this product. And I think they bit more than they could chew over and over again. And they would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these pesky Chinese kids. The American government was like, listen, tricks are for kids, not for rabbits. Okay. These tiny chips, not tricks. These chips are for American kids, not for Chinese rabbits. That's what they said. And that created a level of safety and security in the minds of a lot of these tech sector people who thought yeah, we can continue dominating.
I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
This is what HasanAbi's been yelling about for years. China's unwavering method of investing on its children and their education is finally paying off. They invested through the hardship decades ago, and now children of China who are super educated just keep handing their country win after win in the most important sectors. Defund ICE and fund the schools. What the fuck are we doing here in America? I think Orientalism is going to snap back in the opposite direction. That's here's a prediction for you. I think our Orientalist approach is going to snap back in the opposite direction, where people start thinking that like Chinese people are mythical beings, supercharged with thousands of years of Confucianism. And that's the only reason why they're so good at creating innovative products, and that it's simply a cultural thing, the emphasis that they place on education. And it's totally immaterial. It has nothing to do with the fact that, they invest a tremendous amount to education and try to abide by some semblance of the meritocratic standard. Now, there's truth to the historical importance placed upon education in China. Even in the past, the greatest jobs that were given to every single person, that was open for virtually every single person, you could make your way through the education structure and go work for the emperor. And in a similar vein, now the ownership of the emperor structure has changed into the single party Communist Party of China in that exact same vein. So the exam system still exists to a certain degree, and there's still a lot of emphasis on making sure that the best, hardest working person is tasked with these very important jobs. And there's still also a decent amount of nepotism as well. But ultimately, if you don't create the underlying material basis and consistently build up that foundation by investing back into public education and try to broaden it to the best of your ability, and no, it's not a real meritocracy. It's virtually impossible to maintain a real meritocracy. We are not robots. We're still human beings. We're imperfect vessels at the end of the day. My point is, the closer you get to a true meritocracy, the more bountiful that will be for you. In America, the rags the riches story is just that, a story about luck and maybe some perseverance over hardships as well, but still luck overall. Do you understand? Instead of using that as a marketing tool for American capitalism being innovative and bountiful, what we should do is try to focus on making sure that any random kid growing up in any part of the United States of America has the same opportunity to go to the best schools and is not actually held back due to their material circumstances. But instead of recognizing that reality, I think Americans will just go, nah, these Chinese are just like mystical beings, and that's why they were able to dominate this hard. So we mustn't invest or expand in public. We mustn't invest or expand public education. We must not do that. That's not the reason. We should still maintain this weird for-profit structure for education and actually destroy the K through 12 education structure even further and turn it into the college system, which everyone knows is awful. More charter schools for me, please. Gonna tell my parents the Chinese are mystical at dinner tonight. Wish me luck. Good luck, chatter. Godspeed. Godspeed, soldier. Yeah, we're over here talking about abolishing the Department of Education and the Chinese are running tricks. They're running laps on us. Fantastic stuff. Hey, this shouldn't be a wake-up call for anybody, okay?